As parents of autistic kids, their beautiful brains amaze us every day.
But this show is about our mental wellness.
Hi, I'm Shani.
And I'm Autumn. Together, we tackle the hard truths about parenting autism and how sometimes it can feel like we're drowning
in a puddle of our own tears.
We're here to let you know we hear you.
We see you.
And you can thrive underwater.
The Thrive Underwater podcast is not a replacement for therapy, diagnosis, or treatment. If you're having a mental health emergency, please contact 911 or go to your nearest emergency room. If you're struggling with your mental health, please reach out to your local provider in your area.
Hey, just wanted to let you know that we do use colorful language. You have been warned.
If you enjoy our podcast and want to support our work, visit our website at thriveunderwater.com, where you will find more information about our show and a link to our Patreon.
A no-cost way to support our show is to subscribe, rate, and share this program with others.
You can follow us on Facebook or Instagram at Thrive Underwater and on our Facebook group at Thrive Underwater Community.
Thank you and enjoy the show. What is up, Shani?
Hey, Autumn, and welcome, everyone.
Yes, welcome. So, most of our episodes are about things we have struggled with or we still struggle with. But for us, today's episode is especially poignant because it's all about summer break.
Oh, it's coming. Dun, dun, dun. No, seriously. I mean, look, summer requires an enormous amount of awareness of our own mental health. It's so stressful. It's just, can be a huge burden.
It can be. It can. And for those out there who like to say, oh, school's not a babysitter.
Oh, yeah. We know. But it is a respite. Especially for those of us with few resources.
Girl.
Or where the resources end in the summer, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So personally, summers have been a time of real fun. I mean, my son and I have some great memories from summer. But by the end of summer, I am wiped out.
Yeah. Or burned out. Burnout is a real thing. It's not, in the mental health world and just about every world, you can get burnt out. It's real.
Yeah. And this is a particular kind of burnout. It's called caregiver burnout. And this is what WebMD has to say. And there'll be a link in the article to the article in our show notes. So here we go. Caregiver burnout is a state of physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion. It may go along with a change in attitude from positive and caring to negative and unconcerned. Burnout can happen when you don't get the help you need, or if you try to do more than you're able, either physically or financially. Caregivers who are burned out may have fatigue, stress, anxiety, and depression. Many caregivers also feel guilty if they spend time on themselves. Sound familiar?
Oh my God, it sounds so bad.
I know.
And definitely something I identify with for sure. This article is written for caregivers of the elderly or sick, but it's definitely pertinent I would say, to the parents of all children with disabilities.
Oh, yeah, absolutely the truth.
This article goes on to list symptoms you might experiencing, like you may be experiencing, like loss of interest in activities used to enjoy, feeling blue, cranky, finger pointing at myself, helpless, changes in appetite, weight, or both, changes in sleep patterns, getting sick more often, emotional and physical exhaustion, using alcohol and or sleep medications too much. And in the worst cases, feelings of wanting to hurt yourself or the person for whom you are caring. Listen, if you're feeling this way, it's vitally important to reach out to a healthcare provider or to call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. And that is at 800-273-8255. This will be in our show notes. Please do not feel any shame in reaching out. It has saved many lives. It could save your life.
Absolutely. No shame in reaching out for help. Absolutely. But, I do think a lot of us have felt some of this before. I've definitely experienced the mental and physical exhaustion and the depression and the anxiety. And by the end of summer, what it can look like is me vegging out in front of the TV for a couple of days.
Yeah. The numbing out part, it is pretty much burnout, I've experienced this too, where you basically do not want to do anything, right? There's no motivation to do anything. You need a lot of downtime to recover. And for me, I also have to accommodate my work schedule. So this is so hard when there aren't those resources available.
Yeah. Tell me about it. I get that whole no resources thing. But, summer caregiving, it's why this is the last episode of the season. There's no way I can keep up with the demands of the podcast and be a full-time caregiver. It's not happening.
Right. Seriously. But we aren't here to hash out all that horrible, dramatic, foreboding summer drama without giving you some tools for thriving this summer.
Yeah. And in all honesty, we did decide to do this for ourselves. But we're sharing our research with all of you.
That's right. We're generous that way. But before we get to our tool section, I do think it's important to share why this happens. And as we said before in this podcast, it's like knowledge goes a long way in bringing awareness to our everyday lives.
Yeah, it sure does. Just a side note, I have to get a crown tomorrow, and I had to go in for dental work a couple of weeks ago, and I was really panicking. But because I have some knowledge going into my dental work tomorrow, I'm not as stressed out as I was the first time.
Great.
Knowledge goes a long way. So why does burnout happen? Here's 5 areas where burnout can creep in. Lack of resources, lack of autonomy, creative brain burnout, travel, and mental load.
And this is not an exhaustive list. Our listeners may discover other situations where burnout happens. And actually, we would love to hear from you, so if you can comment or share your experience with burnout or what causes you burnout, you can do this by emailing us at thrive@thriveunderwater.com or by joining our Thrive Underwater community on Facebook, which is a closed Facebook group.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, let's dive into the reasons why summer can be a bummer.
You know how hard it is to find respite care.
Yes, I do, because you and I are in the same boat on this one. I don't have any family around me at all. And I know you have family, but there's few with the ability to really step in and help out.
That's right. Yeah. And finding childcare for our kids is so hard. Anyone coming in to care for my son has to be trained. I got to kind of make sure they get it. It's just not the same as finding care for a typical child. Way more challenges.
Yeah. I'm really lucky. Our neighbor's kid is pretty awesome with our son, but she knows him, and that goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then there's the childcare costs. And if you're in a situation like our family is with a one income family, well, you don't have a very deep well for hiring people.
Right. And it's, even if you don't have the financial strain, it's still hard to find someone who's the right fit, who's up for it. It's like I have had to revamp my whole summer work schedule around childcare. So that's another, mentally stressful situation.
Yeah, I bet. But even scheduling in alone time is hard when you're caregiving almost all the time. Now, listen, my husband steps in and he helps out, and I do have that resource, but it's pretty close to 100% of the time on my shoulders. Not 100, but pretty darn close. And that's heavy. It's heavy.
Which actually leads us into our next topic, lack of autonomy.
Here's the deal. My son feels most comfortable when he can completely control the environment. And I am part of the environment. I am. But it's so hard to be at another person's beck and call 24/7. When I need to make dinner, it can be hard for him that I'm not available because the pork loin's not going to cook itself.
I know. I mean, in a sense, we're kind of losing our own autonomy, and that can be detrimental to that healthy mental state, right? Mm-hmm. We have to, I hate this word for this, but that balance of being able to engage your own mind with the needs that your children have, and they require you as their caregiver to be there. But yeah, we need to be able to have our own thoughts.
Oh yeah. And it's really important for me, and I know it is for everybody else, but I have a very active mind and it's sensitive to boredom. And it's not that my kid's boring. Come on. I love my kid. He's not boring. But what he likes to stimulate his brain isn't always what I like. Mm-hmm. And, during the summer break, I'm constantly trying to engage him. And like we said before, 24/7, my brain is screaming, let me work. Let me work. Let me do something I enjoy.
Right. And we're going to be talking about how to manage this in our tool section. Mm-hmm. But there's no other way to say it. It's vital to have time to allow your brain to be yours, even if it's just for a few minutes.
Yeah. So I'm a creative person. So you would think that this next situation wouldn't be hard for me, but it is so hard because I'm ADHD. And finding a creative way for my son to have fun this summer, it can be agony.
Yeah, I know. I think it's because there's no break from it, right? Mm-hmm. Don't you think?
Yeah. I do pretty well at the beginning of the summer.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But by the middle to the end, I'm like standing in the middle of the room, zoning out on a wall while my brain is shooting off in a million directions. Like, oh, we could do this. We could do this. We could do this. We could do this.
Oh, I get it. I mean, it's almost like we go into, at that point, it's like survival mode and we just want to get through. But again, we're going to get to our tool section towards the end of the episode where we'll kind of help out with some of this.
Yeah. And like I've said a couple of times, this episode is 100% tailor-made for our own sanity this summer.
Mm-hmm. Summer also presents the challenge of travel. Right. Not everybody is going to travel this summer. We are traveling this summer. So we actually did a whole episode on traveling and the holidays where we took a deep dive into the challenges of travel. So if you want to check that out, tell them, Autumn, where they can find it.
Yep. It was season 1, episode 4 is called Holiday Hit List.
Right. The mob flavored episode.
Us and our skits, man. I have to say I didn't do skits this time because I'm preparing for summer. Sorry about that, all you skit lovers out there.
Right. Some of them are going to be like, it's fine. You don't need to do them. But, we love them. I'm sorry. We just think we're hilarious. So
we do think we're funny.
Yeah.
There you go. But to summarize the holiday hit list episode, travel sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, pretty much you're packing your whole house for a couple of hours out, right? Mm-hmm. Anyone, if you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. But then there's situations when you're around friends or family who just don't get it. And there's that pressure.
Right. So that just adds to the stress to us, to our children. Even if your child loves new situations, like my kid thrives on novelty, but there's this anxious anticipation. It's kind of a form of stress, and that can definitely lead to overstimulation and then meltdown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I call that a shit show alert.
Oh God. Yeah, I know. And then, then that adds to the mental load of it all.
Well, Shani, that was a great segue into our next topic.
Yeah, it's not like you helped me with that at all. We didn't structure this or anything.
No. But mental load is one of my favorite topics that we cover on the show because I believe it is a cornerstone to why we as parents of autistic kids struggle with our mental health.
Yes, you're right. It is one of the big ones. And I mean, there's just so many things to think about in any given moment.
Yeah. And this isn't just about what are we going to do today?
No.
It's this constant awareness of our children and their mental and physical, because, we have to be real careful about that, health. My son has a hard time communicating what he's feeling, and that's physically too. So I have a checklist in my brain, a thermometer of his mental health, let's say, and I have it turned up to 11 when he's home all the time.
Yeah. So it's like in you that thermometer is up. Is that what you mean?
Oh, like
you're tuned in. Yeah.
Tuned in. Yeah. I think you said tuning fork.
Tuning fork. Right. Yeah. And me too. Me too. And, so when there are limited resources, when your brain is not autonomous anymore, you're sort of like at the end, right? That's when you lose your ability to be creative, and maybe you're traveling on top of that. So guess what? It's no wonder that we burn out.
Oh, yeah. And my son does very well with rules and routines, but I don't always do so great with that. And we've talked about this before. When the needs of the one conflicts with the needs of another, it can be really hard. And I will almost 100%, we're saying 100% a lot, but almost all the time, I choose his mental health over my own. It's very rare when I choose my mental health over his. Yeah.
And in our house, we sort of have, so there's also ADHD going on, PDA, and autism. So routines are helpful, but then we also need to add flexibility to them.
Yeah.
Right. And we need to be able to stretch things or push them or reroute. And that can get really hard too if there are siblings in the mix, because then you're sort of managing everybody's needs all at once.
Yeah. I've got the one kid and it's hard. I can't even imagine. And we are going to do an episode next season on being the parent of having an autistic child and having siblings as well. So,
right. So, yeah. I mean, so what, look, when our brain is on constant red alert with no end in sight, or at least it feels like there's no end in sight because it's 2 months away. My goodness, it's a long time.
That's a long time.
Right. We can enter into burnout. And so we need to rejuvenate.
Man, you are nailing these segues.
We need to rejuvenate. Okay, so it's time for us to give us, I mean you, I mean us, I mean all of us, okay, some tools so we can all thrive this summer together.
Yeah, let's make some good memories, right? Okay, we have 5 tools for the toolbox this episode, and I'll break them down in the show notes. You might want to get a pen and paper, but if you don't want to read the show notes or make notes, you can go to our website and sign up for the newsletter, and you will receive a free printable to hang on your refrigerator that lists the Thrive This Summer tools. Yeah, it's going to be on my fridge because I'm going to need a reminder. Sometimes I have to re-listen to our podcast to get the tools, but this is really important because I think there's going to be so much going on in our mind. We're going to need that little reminder hanging on the fridge.
Absolutely. I need this one too. I'm signing up too.
Yep. Woo. Okay. So what's our tools, girl? Start number 1.
So at first, so tool number 1, I was at odds with Autumn, but we've sort of figured it out. And I do think it's a really good one. It's set your intention for the day.
Yeah. So what it means is when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, what's something I want to feel today? Or what's something I want to look back on when I go to bed tonight and say, oh, I did it. And I generally use words like, I want to experience joy today. I want to be kind today, or I want to show love today,
Yeah.
It's just something like that.
And we tend to overthink it or make it too difficult. And it doesn't have to be like, this meditative sitting position with soft music where you're doing, your intentions. Right. You can do that. I mean,
Sure.
That's fine. That's wonderful. But you can set these intentions as soon as you open your eyes. And I think actually many times throughout the day. So like what I would use, what would probably work better for me is, I'm going to make this day good enough. Or maybe my intention is to be flexible today. And that's like a healthy or a helpful reminder throughout the day.
Yeah. This sounds kind of like a mantra.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do tend to make it too hard. I feel like I need to set up this perfect little world where I can go into my mind. But when I do it, when I'm making coffee, or when I go to the bathroom in the morning or something, or when I step outside to get the sunshine on my face, and I ask, how do I want to fill up this day? What do I want to feel today? What do I want my son to experience today? And, the answers are not, well, we need to X and we need to Y and we need to Z. If it's something super simple, like, I want to smile a lot today, it makes a huge difference. It just does.
Yeah. So let's say your intention was to be flexible. If at the end of the day, you've been flexible, you've succeeded, right? Everybody else can suck it. I don't mean that, but yes, I do.
Yeah. Facebook. Who needs you? I was flexible today.
Perfect summer pictures.
Yeah. That PBS cartoon, Perfect Day.
Oh, are you knocking Daniel Tiger?
No, I mean, Daniel Tiger would be a dream day. The trolley pulling up, ding, ding. I mean, that would be fantastic. That's just
everybody's
not real.
Emotionally intelligent in this world. Sure. Yeah.
That's just not going to happen. It's not reality for us. But if I ask myself when I get in the bed at night, did I experience joy today? Did I smile a lot today? Was I flexible today? Yeah. When? And to be honest, this is a personal tool that I use and I try to use it every day. And it really does make a difference.
And I think one of the reasons it has so much power is because it feeds our next tool in our toolbox, which is to lower expectations. I love this.
Yes. Yes. My summers growing up, they just were not very Pinterest mommy. They were not very Martha Stewart-ish.
No, me neither.
And I loved it. I mean, I watched TV. My sister and I played cards. There were no scheduled activities. It was fan-freaking-tastic. It was some of the best days of my life were my childhood summers.
I think what you're talking about is like that relaxation, it doesn't mean you don't have any activities. Like we traveled a lot. We did have some summers where we just would hang out at home, not do much or have some day camps here and there. But it wasn't that like a feverish, fill up your days with to-do list kind of thing. Get everything that you can in the day.
Okay. I'm going to sound like an old woman here. You ready? If I had a nickel for every summer I stressed out about making a kid perfection, I'd be a millionaire. But it's true. And then I realized, hell, nobody around here is having any fun. And so I was like, I quit. I quit.
Well, let's just go into this summer with the big intention of chilling the fuck out. And you know what? Since we've been doing this podcast, my potty mouth has just exponentially increased the fuck up.
Well, I mean, potty mouth is actually one of my tools in the toolbox. It really helps. And there is research that proves that cursing can help you, your mental health. Yeah. So sometimes Google it.
Right. It's like, fuck this shit. Right. It's like, I mean, we're already, it's like we're laughing. So there you go.
Yeah. So, but I'll give you a big old hell yeah on that one for sure. Let's just chill out.
So, we do need to have some activities, right? Don't you think? I mean, we're going to do this. So, but to combat that creativity burnout, Creating a creativity cheat sheet is a must.
So you brought this up and I thought, oh my God, why hadn't I thought of this? So if you, our listeners, sign up for the newsletter, in addition, you will get a creativity cheat sheet to go along with your toolkit for thriving this summer.
Oh my God, what is happening? Do you see how this episode is so chock full of tools? Oh my God.
Yeah. But I needed it. I mean, I was like, I'm taking this episode and I am going to create cheat sheets for my refrigerator so I can remember all this stuff.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, hey, people are going to be listening to that and I bet they need it too. So there you go.
Right. So many Pinterest moms out there have already done the hard work for us. And listen, if you are a Pinterest mom, if you identify as a Pinterest mom, you can get one of these too. No, I mean, where all are welcome. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I'm going to do after I create this thing, which will be available by the time the podcast airs, as of recording. But I plan on visiting the dollar store. Once I get this sheet created, I'm going to visit the dollar store. I'm going to stock up on all the stuff, get it all organized. And that way I just got to grab a bag, say, hey, do you want to, one of the things is the Matchbox toy car wash.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just have everything ready and just grab it and say, hey, you want to do this? Let's go do this. Mm-hmm. Real chill, real relaxed, no pressure.
Mm-hmm. Our next tool might be a bit more difficult, but again, we don't need to overthink things. It doesn't have to be complicated. It's about that you time, getting the me time, right? So one of the things I do when my husband is home, it's a little easier, obviously, because I hand the reins to him and I say, look, I just need 10 minutes. I just need 10 minutes, oh
my God. I felt that in my soul.
Right. Yeah. And what I do with that 10 minutes varies. Sometimes it'll be a meditation, a bath. I'll need a little bit more time if it's a bath, but breathing, whatever, or just scrolling Facebook or whatever I need to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do that. And sometimes I send, my husband has a convertible and my son loves it. And so I'll just like, hey, y'all go for a ride, go to the park. And then, it's really quiet in the house. It's funny when it's really quiet in the house, all of a sudden I hear the things this house does. It's the pops and the creaks, and we have a dog and it is so quiet. And I'm like, but yeah, and I'll do the same thing. I'll scroll or play a game, scroll through social media or watch some TV or, read or get on the computer and do some work. But it helps my brain have a break. At this point, now my son is 12 and he knows when I say, baby, mommy needs a brain break. I need a minute just to have some mommy time. You'll be cool for 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah. My kids are the same. At this point, I have to, because my son is the type that requires a lot of attention. Like if you're not in the room, he will come find you, But at this point I will say, I need to rest. And sometimes if I leave the door open and my kids have had their activities and things like that, and they're kind of calm and rested or regulated, it works better for me to have that break where I can just lay there and do whatever I need to do.
Yes.
Because sometimes, you're going to have to do it when there isn't anyone home to take the reins. It's just you. It sounds nice what I'm describing, right? Like it would be nice to be able to do this, and that may not happen, or we may not all have the ability to do that. Or it may not appeal to you, some of the things that we've listed. And if that's not you, that's fine. What you can do is be curious about what fills your tank. What do you enjoy? What gives you back some energy? Is it taking a hot bath, sitting outside with a cup of coffee? Is it exercise? Is it a cookie break? Whatever it is, so that you can get some of that fuel back in the tank. I'm saying tank a lot. Tank. Fill you up.
We
tank,
haven't.
You know?
Yeah, we have.
Get that engine going.
Well, we have an empty tank a lot of times, and that's you have an empty tank for a long time. Guess what? Your car is going to shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, we know, Shani and I know on a very personal level how very challenging the summer can be.
Mm-hmm.
But with some tools and a big old giant amount of validation and understanding from your Thrive Underwater podcast nation, we can do this.
Yeah.
We can make happy memories. We can.
Yeah. And it's so important to remember that we are not alone in this. All over the world, this is a challenge. We know that summer break is a challenge for parents like us.
Right. And that is a source of self-compassion, just the knowledge that others are experiencing the same type of thing.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Finding your community.
Absolutely. Okay. Recap time.
Okay, summer is hard, and by the end of it, you can experience caregiver burnout.
And caregiver burnout sucks.
So bad. And while there are so many reasons this can happen, we discussed the lack of resources, lack of autonomy, creativity burnout, travel, mental load.
Yeah, but as always, we don't leave you hanging without some tools. Whoop, whoop. So we discussed starting your day with a set intention and maybe making that a little mantra throughout your day, lowering expectations. That's important. Creating a creativity cheat sheet, carving out some me time, and realizing you are not alone.
Yes. And don't forget to head over to our website at thriveunderwater.com to get your free Thrive the Summer printables.
Oh, yeah. Well, everyone, we hope you have a great summer, and we will be back in August. Listen to this, Shani, with season 3.
What? Oh, my goodness. Goodbye.
It's amazing. Goodbye. See you on the flip side.
Thank you for listening to our podcast.
If you found this podcast helpful, please subscribe and tell your friends.
You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
And if all this is too much to remember because you're busy treading water, check out our website at www.thriveunderwater.com.
We have links to our shows, social media, blogs, resources. You can sign up for our newsletter and support our podcast.
Thanks again, and
keep on
thriving.